with me. Yes, they are. They're a lot younger than they look. It's a hard business, you know, the music business. We spend, now what is it that, there's the famous adage, of course, who is it that spends, what do they do? No, they put a £5,000 instrument into a £500 car to drive 500 miles for 50 quid. Yes, and that's the life of a jazz musician. Anyway, so I'm going to start from this side, and a relatively local chap here. I think it's the first time he's been to this particular neck of the woods. And a very fine trombone player who's come down from Rugby, Richard Baker on the trombone. And on the drums, a very good old friend of mine who we've worked together in numerous kind of ensembles, playing all sorts of music, but obviously mostly the sort of the proper vintage classic music, which John is a very fine exponent of. And over the last... Excuse me?
I'll pass you the money later.
Yeah. Well, can you get over and done with now? And he's just recently joined the full-time ranks of the Chris Barber Band, and so it's nice to have him along. Again, my very good friend John Watson on the drums. And on the double bass, he's our, how should I say?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Nice to me.
No, well, I am always nice to you, aren't I, great bass player? He's, I mean, you can see he's a very fine figure of a man, you see, and he's our athlete, because being a bass player, and he plays the tuba, as you can see, the sousaphone and the double bass. But Graham, as you can tell by the lines on his face, he's been around for a long time. But yeah, not as long as he looks. But anyway, it's, he's been in the band for quite a few years now, and it's I'm very rude, I know, but I can get away with it. And used to run for.
53, I think.
Are you 53?
No, I've been in the band for 53.
But he runs his own bands and has played with everybody you can think of from the vintage fraternity. Anyway, it's wonderful to have him here. It's Graham Reed on the double bass. And the remaining member of the rhythm section, this is actually the first time in which he's played with the Shooting Stars, so it's great to have him here. I've worked with him over the last few years doing various different trios and quartets up and down the country, and he's relatively local actually, sort of, where is it? St Albans, you see, that's a local boy really in the jazz world. But it's great to have him here on guitar. It's Andy Ruiz Palmer on guitar. And on trumpet, another very old friend. In fact, the first time we ever played together was in the very first sort of jazz band that I ever used to run. I won't tell you what it was called.
What's it called, Rich?
No, I don't know. And so this chap has been a friend of mine for a long time, and many years with the Chris Barber Band, which after I hadn't seen him for about sort of 15 or 20 years, and I was touring with Chris Barber, and then he suddenly popped up and replaced the great Pat Halcox on trumpet in the Chris Barber Band. He's been there 10 years. He just reminded me, I can't believe it's 10 years since Pat Halcox left the Chris Barber Band. So it's great to have him back on board. Pete Rudforth on trumpet. Right, we're going to continue with some music. This next one actually is something that Pete's brought along. Is there anyone here from Russia? Funny, I live near Wellingborough and everyone's from Russia there. Well, at least that or Polish. You've got Russian ancestors.
My grandparents came over from Russia.
Stand up and take a bow! Ah, that's good. Well, what about people from Scotland then? Anyone here from Scotland? Oh, we've got a Scot, that's good. A couple of Scots in the audience, that's great. Well, this is an arrangement of a piece of music written by a Russian and recorded and arranged by a band in Scotland. It's the Clyde Valley Stompers, wasn't it, that recorded this. There we are, something for everybody. And Pete's just brought this arrangement along because he's done this specially for us, and it's Clyde Valley Stompers' version of Peter and the Wolf.
We've never seen it before.
No.
That bit there, there's no songs of Peter's.
Okay. Thank you.
It starts with a boom, boom from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the first
Well
bar.
done to you.
Yeah, okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.